Hello, everyone. Happy Wellness Wednesday. So excited to be here with you all today. Um, we are, if you're new here, we are reading the 10 Commandments of Black Economic Power. It's okay if you don't have a copy, though I highly recommend it because we're going to read it to you, just like when we were younger, right? When our parents read to us. So we are super excited. And I'm saying we because I have a special guest that is joining me today for our discussion. Hey, Jen. Let me know where you're joining us from. And we want to just say welcome. Thank you all for being here week after week. Great evening, Natasha. Welcome. So go ahead and grab your book. Awesome, Jen. Whether you have it on Kindle or your physical copy, we are on chapter 3 today. And we are starting on page 45, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And I have a special guest. So I'm excited. So we got South Carolina, we got California, we got New York, we got Nevada. Hey, Deborah, we got the Big Apple in the house. And so now I am going to welcome on my special guest. Hello, welcome, special guest. This is my special guest, my sister, Miss Chelsey Madison, joining us from Nevada.
Hey y'all. Hey. Thank you for having me, Mia.
You are so welcome. Thank you for saying yes. It's so much fun to do it together.
Yes, deep dive into how to make some money and change the mindset. Absolutely.
Excellent. So remember, everybody, if you come or you're coming week after week and you want to join me live on stage for some discussion, then it's all good. She said, "What you doing in my house?" I love it because Jen had the same background. Chelsey, she was like, "What you doing in my house? This your house is the recording studio."
Listen, okay, exactly. Let me borrow this background real quick, Jen. Dang.
I love it. So Chelsey is going to be leading the dialogue part. So keep the chat coming. And Chelsey, can you see the chat okay on the?
Um, I do not see the chat on my end. Let me see
Okay,
if y'all can see this test.
okay, no worries. It should be on your right hand side.
Oh, yep, there we go.
Perfect, excellent. So keep the chats coming. And if y'all know anybody who needs to be here and hear this message, bring them on into the room. You know, we love to have new company, as we call it, and this is a space for women to come and to discuss finance from a feminine, heart-led perspective, and we want to make this a safe space. So thank y'all for being here week after week and reading with us.
Yes.
We smart, we important, we beautiful.
I love it. Listen, bring it back. That's the truth.
you know Oops, I just realized my banner is not correct. I wanted to make sure and ask everyone if you please subscribe and text I'm in. It's supposed to say I'm in. Let me see if I can fix that because clearly I missed the whole entire word. So I'm going to fix that. But if you do not get the reminders, if you text I'm in to 855-718-2018, those numbers are special, then you will get reminders every week via text. So let me put that back on the screen, just in case you're catching a replay. All right.
Yes, subscribe, get on the list. She's got a ton of them.
Thank you, my Chelsey. So I'm going to
You
start reading, and
too.
then Chelsey, you just jump in when you're ready for the commentary.
Okay.
All right. So while my family had a long held tradition of job seeking as a means of economic survival, I later found out that not all families live this way. As I got older, we're on page 45. Oh, excellent. I love that y'all in. Yes, page 45, Ms. Deborah. Thank you for asking that important question at the top. As I got older, I started to meet families where jobs weren't even discussed in the household. Can you imagine? Ooh, no jobs. Okay. Perhaps due to a family tradition or exposure to other economic systems, these families didn't consider the job to be the primary method of earning an income. Some of these families had a business that was passed from parent to child. The families would also have banking systems where they would finance each other's businesses. Ooh, talk about capital. That's dope. At
Okay.
the very least, they would buy from one another since the survival of your relative was more important than taking care of strangers. In other words, many families have their own economic system that doesn't require the support of outsiders. In economically independent families, they educate their own kids, create their own jobs, develop family banks, provide low cost labor for one another, and even grow their own food.
Can
Most
we pause right there?
oh, for sure.
So, as far as dialogue goes, you touched on so many points as far as keeping the dollar within the Black community, being able to support your own family. And when I say family, I mean your household and or cousins, aunties, uncles, things like that. There's so many things that Dr. Boyce touches on just in that one little paragraph that you're reading that we need to start implementing because these other cultures, these other families are able to do these things, and we're kind of left behind struggling in that old system, right? And I talk to my mom about this often. I'm like, man, it's so crazy how they sold y'all a dream. And she'll be like, that's what they told us, right? You work until you're 65, you retire. Whereas if you're working until you're 65, fine, leave that, you use that job as your to fund your dream, but that money that you're making needs to stay within the Black community, meaning shopping Black, buying Black, right? You need to be able, if you got a cousin who's opening up a legit business, right? I have a sister-in-law who is an esthetician, supporting your estheticians, right? Your local estheticians and not the local, I don't know, sometimes cousins pop up some things and you just be like,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I can do that. But he touches on a lot of things that we got to implement. We got to make changes too.
Exactly. And sometimes that means going out of our way to support a Black owned business or being intentional about
Yes.
supporting Black owned businesses. And Chelsey, I know you have a Black owned business. You want to tell everybody what your business is?
Developmental consulting. So I work with children 0 to 3 with disabilities, helping families get their kids caught up with their delays and making sure they understand that they are the biggest advocate for their kid and putting the power back into your hands. I know a lot of times, and I'm not saying therapists are not useful, they are amazing, but a lot of times I think we take our kids to the community and we forget that we are also our kids' first teacher and we can teach them so much, right? And so that's what I help families do and giving them strategies, making it personal to their kiddo because every kid is different. Every baby learns differently. There's so many different things that we can touch on to make their experience with me personal. So that way, when they bring it back to their kiddo, their fun is play is fun again. And that's what I teach. I teach parents how to do play functionally is the best way to describe that.
Oh, that sounds really fun. I love that.
And useful these
Yeah,
we gotta again bring it back home, right? So putting that education piece back into your hands as a parent, whether you are a mother or a father, an uncle, you know what I mean? If there's some things that you see as concerns, let me help you out.
exactly. I think that's so crucial, Chelsey. Like the main thing that, and it actually relates to this book, is that parents are the children's first teacher.
They are.
So, and there's no manual as far as I know of on parenting. So,
No.
if you could get some support for someone like Chelsey from someone like Chelsey that can help you, just build your skills and like really connect with your child and using play as a learning mechanism. Because even when I teach finances, I use games. Because finances for some people is boring. It's fun for me, but it's boring for some people, and so I'd like to gamify it. And so I think
Right.
Tasha, sorry, this chat. I know
Wait.
what Chelsey is saying is important, but this chat is over here cracking me up. But no, this is what Natasha's over here saying, y'all. For y'all catching the replay, y'all gotta see this. This is
Not pooking them.
not Pookie them. But wait,
Thank you.
Jen said Pookie still owe her some money. Pookie, if you
Yep.
are watching and listening, please pay your cousin Jen. But
Pay your IOU, please. Please pay her. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
oh, that's
No, but it's true. It's so true. But the power is within us, and so I just like to help families be able to remember that they have that power, right? What and I love you as an auntie. You give your you give your nephews tools so that they can be great. That's you pouring into them, right? You're not a mom yet, but you're pouring into them in a different aspect, and they're still being able to grow. So again, really comes back to it takes a village, whether you're supporting a Black owned business, whether you're supporting your uncle, your nephews and your nieces, right? Or your own child. It takes a village, but you do have to gain that knowledge. You do have to be educated. You do have to make an effort. And I love that you do it for games because, listen, in our culture, we do game night.
Yes, we
You
do.
know we do game night, okay? Spades, Scrabble, some Jenga, Uno. Don't get me started on the Uno. So it makes it fun when you make it a game. And then
Exactly.
it makes it easier to learn. So, yeah.
Oh, and y'all know I already got the game ready for when we finish this book, okay? Because I got the flashcards over here. So
Yes.
we are doing trivia.
Let's do
When
it.
we finish this book. So if you've been coming every week, make sure that you are taking notes and remembering because I like to give prizes. So I'm gonna be giving away something after we finish this book, and we're gonna do trivia with these flashcards over here, right?
Yep.
Because even my mom, when I was teaching my nephew, I've been teaching my nephew from Dr. Boyce's kids books. She was like,
Mhm.
"This is good. I even need this is good for me to learn certain things." I was like, "Yeah." And so, and my mom is an accountant, but you can always still learn, right? And
Absolutely.
so, oh, we should turn finances into spades. I bet you I
Ooh,
would be
I
rich.
love it. And I love Natasha's comment. She said, yes, Uno, don't forget the space. We can't forget the space. Listen.
And I don't even know how to play spades, but I will learn
And you
just
don't
to make
listen,
it.
and you don't even need to say that out loud. Just
No,
let it go. Yep. Mm-mm. Just let it go. That's not something we share with the world, okay? Because they're gonna try and come for the black card. We can't let them have that card.
I know. It's rough. It's rough.
I'm gonna teach you though, sis. I got you. I
Thank
got you.
you.
Me and
Thank you.
Natasha
I'm
got
coming to see you next month. So
you. Yeah. Oh,
you
yes.
can for me.
And you know what? You talked about prizes. If you want, when you do your trivia, I would love to donate a service. So yep, I would
Ooh.
love to donate a service to one of your lucky winners and listeners. You just let me know who, and I will make sure you get a code, and I'll send you the code, and they can put that in. Okay?
Oh, thank you, sis. That's amazing.
Of course.
And Deborah was saying, "Hey, Chelsey," so because she was like, Mia, you say it's your sister Chelsey. She said it's our sister Chelsey. Yes,
Oh, I love
it's
y'all.
our sister
Thank you
Chelsea.
for the love. I appreciate you guys. I love all my FFS. The divine dozen. Y'all are amazing, supportive, and me and I are so blessed to have you. Truly,
Yes.
truly, truly.
And thank you again, Chelsey, for being willing to donate. So we're gonna have a nice set of prizes for our lucky
So be
winners.
listening. Be listening.
Yep. All right, here we go, y'all. It might take us a while to get through chapter 3, just FYI, everybody, because it's really long. It's just a long chapter.
But it's informative. It's a good chapter. It's a good chapter.
Yes. So here we go. Most Black people have never seen these systems in action, largely because we're still connected to the system of slavery. In order to survive after being free with no resources, y'all, okay? Millions of Black families depend on the government more than on each other. And y'all know that's not a reliable source.
It's not. Look at
Also,
where we're at right now.
hello, can I get a whole witness? Also, there are incentives to look to whites for our education, food, and economic opportunities. All of this puts us in a very dangerous situation since we don't even have our own hospitals.
Schools.
Well, yes, ooh, Black Wall Street game. Ooh, yes, I want to get that. That's my kind of thing.
Ooh, yes. I love that idea, Jen.
That is dope. So we're on page 46. The dramatic dependence that Black people have on the various systems controlled by whites has made us very weak. It has also made us into a commodity that others use for their own benefit.
Come on.
Let's
Say
be a commodity for our own selves. How about that?
exactly. You take all that power that's within you, all that creativity, all of that connection that you have, and you use that for your people.
Exactly. Because, well, you sent me this fire video. Natasha and I have been talking about AI, and
Mhm.
I'm just like, yo, if we can, because we're already naturally creative people, but if we can hone it and put it into an AI system and create, I mean, we ain't no
Listen, the sky is the limit. The sky is the limit.
I'm just saying.
And it comes, and you know what, the thing that I think we as people forget is it comes naturally, right? If we're not bogged down by the system and we're not um, struggling in survival mode, or fight or flight mode, those that genuine creativity comes naturally for most people, right? And I think that we forget that we have that power within us. We have that ability to tap into something that's going to change lives, whether that's an invention, whether that's a beat, whether that's a skill, an athletic skill, whether you're crafting something. We have that ability. That's within us wholeheartedly. Yes, Natasha, let's learn, own, and dominate. Let's build our own systems. We thank you, Jen. We have that genius power. It is within. Um, and I think that that's one of the things that we have to continue to pour into our children, to pour into your nephew, right? To pour into my son, is you are brilliant and a genius in your own right. You was born that way. Some of these systems, and the best way for me to say that is some of these systems strip us of that creativity because, like Dr. Boyd says, we're looking to them for that approval when at the end of the day, their approval isn't even necessary. It's not even needed.
That part
Oh,
right there, the approval isn't needed, but you know what, we have to affirm one another's, because one
yes,
another's genius power. Because
yes,
the thing is, if you think about from a psychological perspective, right, there's the Maslow hierarchy of needs. I'm sorry y'all, we're going off on a tangent, but this is all connected.
all connected to the money.
So basically human beings have a need for belonging, right?
Absolutely.
If we don't have an environment in our immediate family where we have that sense of belonging or we're affirmed, we're always going to be looking for that, because that's the foundational, is having that
Yes,
sense of belonging and who you are. And so it's so important. Like, I love when Dr. Boyd says, like, Jewish people don't send their kids out to be educated by non-Jews. Chinese people don't send their kids out. They have the Chinese school, they have the Jewish
yes,
school. So why are we not doing that same thing? And yes, exactly, Deborah, we've done it before. I went to an all black power preschool and elementary school, so I know it can happen. Like, it
it's
was
possible.
Afrocentric, it was amazing.
Yes,
Unfortunately, the school is not around anymore, but there were two schools in my neighborhood. One was Marcus Garvey, and then my school, which was Ebony Learning Tree. And it was
nice.
amazing because I learned it was beautiful to be Black. I never felt ashamed of my skin color. I always knew about my history, and
Yes,
that empowered me. Like, and it empowered me to be intelligent instead of
right,
being ratchet. You know
right.
what I'm
Or
saying?
to shy away from it.
Or exactly. It was just like it was celebrated to
Yes.
be smart and intelligent, versus the only thing you could do is sing, dance, or play sports. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not diminishing it at all, because
Great
that is
skills. Great skills. Fact.
right. But you can also use your brain and your creativity in many different ways, especially to help give back to the community.
On. Yes, I agree.
So we have to remember who we are. I think that's the thing. So many systems and people are trying to make us forget who we are and where we come from.
Yes.
That is just, that's why we're in the predicament that we're in now. So anyway, that was a long tangent. So I'm gonna get back.
A much needed one. Much needed.
So Dr. Claude Anderson highlights the details of this system in his book, Black Labor, White Wealth. A huge danger to being so dependent upon systems that are controlled by our former slave masters is that it makes it nearly impossible for most Black people to have a freedom of choice. And Dr. Boyce talks about having options. So, for example, during the coronavirus pandemic of 2020, millions of people were told to be vaccinated or risk losing their jobs. Those who felt unsafe getting the shot got it anyway so they could remain within the system and not lose their source of income, which is dangerous to only have one. It is important for security reasons that Black people train our children to develop alternative systems that allow us to get what we need, even without the approval of the white community.
Yes.
I've often heard people complaining about the public school system, and for good reason. No matter what city you're referring to, public schools aren't known for giving children a quality education, especially if they are Black. Of course, there are exceptions to every rule, and some students turn out just fine. But we've always known there is something wrong. According to Matt Levin at Cal Matters, 3 of 4 African American boys in California classrooms failed to meet reading and writing standards on the most recent round of testing, according to data obtained from the State Department of Education and analyzed by Cal Matters. California is not unique in this regard. And I can testify because I worked in LAUSD, New York City Department of Education, and Houston ISD. I worked in 3 of the 4 largest school districts in this country. And I can testify that this is accurate to the T.
It's
Okay.
funny that you say 3 of the 4 largest, because I'm in the state of Nevada and Clark County has the largest. It is absolutely ridiculous. We have the largest school district, and our kids are failing left and right. They've even lowered the standards, right? So we're lowering standards for standards that were already low and not hiring teachers to, or even paying teachers. I won't even say hiring. We're not paying teachers to excel or raise the bar. We're really having them meet these kids right here. So this is the expectation. But what I found in working with children is if you raise the bar, most kids will come and meet you, right? Most kids will come and meet you because they like to learn. It's got to be games. It's got to be fun. It's got to have friends involved. They've got to feel respected and loved, right? So that way we're raising that bar. And I know Jen is in here and she works with kids too. So she
Mhm.
understands the value of being able to challenge those children and them respecting you for it, and they want to show up. And so but we have these systems, right, where our hands are tied, and we're stuck in these systems that don't allow for um evolution. They don't allow to evolve. They, if it's not broke, don't fix it kind of mentality, but it is broken. And it's broken for most of our kids, right? And so I think that's the part where they're like they're blind because it doesn't really affect their kids, and that's the sad part. And so
Yeah. So they
I
have
will
options, Chelsea. That's why, because their kids don't have to go to public school. They can
exactly
send their kids to private school.
exactly
And that's why I'm so passionate about financial literacy, because like I went to private school. I had my mama was serious about our education. She did not play games. I did go to public school too, but I was in a gifted program. It
yep
was none of that mediocre nonsense
right
and foolery. She was like, no, we're not doing that. We're not. And so that's and I know it's hard for some parents because they're working multiple jobs. They have a lot of children. But if we went back to that community village mentality, because like Deborah said earlier, we did it in the past. Like my parents grew up in Jim Crow South, and they talked about having great teachers who cared about them, who nurtured their ability to learn, because everybody looked like everybody, so
yes
it was a village and you were looking out for one another. So if we went back to that, I don't know how, we're all in, but some semblance of that, I feel like our children can thrive in those type of environments.
I agree with you 100%. And Natasha really hit the nail on the head, especially when it comes to our melanated boys. She said we need to learn that the melanated children learn differently from other children, and they do, because our boys have way more energy. Again, we got to hone that creativity and really guide them on that journey. Because they're not meant to sit for hours. They are meant to be hands-on. They are meant to be moving around and really being productive in their learning environment, and in the amount of education and information and knowledge that they receive. They're meant to be hands-on. They're meant to be visually learning, creating something, right? Whether that's music, whether that's like I said, you're constructing something and inventing a tool. Our boys are gifted, and that's really the only way to say it. Our boys are gifted. And so it's difficult when you have teachers that want you to just sit and almost be a zombie.
Yeah.
It's difficult. And I've had those conversations with teachers for my son. So, and sent them some articles. Sometimes, again, you're your child's biggest advocate, right? Whether that's you're teaching them finances or you got they back in school because the teacher's trying to do some extra. Let me tell you how to do some extra on your job and really teach these kids differently, because not every kid learns the same. So trying to give somebody A doesn't work for A. You might need to have B and C available
Right. And
options.
Is that differentiated instruction, like,
Exactly.
but I think that I mean, I'm a former educator. I know Jen is an educator. You do education. My husband is a teacher, and the teachers are not always resourced properly
I
to
agree.
provide the proper education for our children, or even understand different learning styles, right? Like you said, like you got kinesthetic, like how do you make a lesson for kinesthetic, visual, auditory learn? Like you gotta be real skilled at that. Like it's not easy.
Yes, you have to care enough and be passionate enough about your job, right? And I also tell people all the time, some people ain't meant to be teachers, but here we are. Here
Mhm.
we are, right? And so it is difficult to do that, and it does take a little bit of extra effort. But my thing is, especially right now, Mia, we got so many resources. You got ChatGPT, you got all these other AI resources. You have Teachers Pay Teachers. That's a whole website where teachers
Mhm.
have created so much different tools to be able to use and implement within your classroom. And depending on your kids, you spend 9 months with these kids. You got
Yeah.
to know by the second month, okay, this kid likes it better when we do hands-on stuff, right? So then you
Exactly.
give him something more hands-on tailored to that math problem that y'all are doing. There's different ways to accommodate versus just giving someone an IEP, which IEP legally makes them have to accommodate, right? But I feel like as a teacher, if you really care about this kid and you're seeing them struggle with the way that you're giving instruction, provide another option. And as
Mhm.
parents, if they're not providing them another option, go the IEP route, and or you create the option for them. Again, Dr. Boyce always talks about options, and that's not just in investing, that's really within life.
Mhm.
Have those
Absolutely.
options.
And parents, if you're listening to this, you have options. Believe it or not, parents have a voice, and a lot of times they don't even know that by them speaking up, they can get certain resources for their children
Absolutely.
versus it coming from a school official. So I used to have those. Let me close the door for you real quick, ma'am, and be like, let me tell you what you need to go down here and say.
Absolutely. Listen, it's one of the things that I do for my clients and my families on my caseload, for the simple fact that my kids are 0 to 3, so they don't necessarily need to be in school. But I mean, obviously, you want to teach them early. But when we get to that step where they're going to get ready to transition in, I'm having real conversations with them. My goal is to teach families how to be the biggest advocate for their kid, right? Because your child's not always going to be able to do that. Character development, absolutely, Jen. Culturally
Mhm.
linguistic responsive instruction, absolutely.
That's
Nail
right.
on the head. You got to be able to meet the kids where they're at in order to educate them. And the color of your skin really doesn't matter in situations like that, except you want to be respectful. And when they see that you're being respectful of them culturally, excuse me, they respond better to you.
That's right. That's right. Yes. Yes. Absolutely.
They do.
All right. So let's see. I think we'll probably get through page 47.
Yeah,
Um,
let's get through page 47. That way they won't be like, dang, they be on here talking.
California is not unique in this regard. Black children across the country are so far behind by the time they graduate that many of them never catch up with the rest of society. Even worse, however, is the fact that the students who are properly educated are often severely miseducated. Come on, Miseducation of the Negro. Read that book if you haven't.
Yes.
They are, for the most part, taught to be as white as possible. Wow, okay. This means that they are trained by whites to see the world through the lens of whiteness. In fact, many of them are even taught by whites how to be black. Lord have mercy. That's deep.
That's
Basically,
shameful. I don't know about deep. It's shameful.
right? I'm like, wow, that is a hot mess express. Basically, a lot of our people are severely confused. So you either have people who are clearly moving backward, or you have those who are also backward but think they are moving forward. If you go to school and spend all your time learning that white people are better than you, you're going to become a white supremacist. Woo. Also, many of our kids never learn real black history or any of the skills and tools needed to build and repair the black community. Now, that is the truth.
Yes.
The men should be learning how to make money, grow their own food, and provide for a family. Come on, wait a minute. I got to highlight that. Wait,
Please do. Okay.
okay, wait. The men, let me underline it.
Reread that. The men should be learning.
How to make money
Mm,
and grow their own food. Yes, indeed. And provide for a family. Come on, somebody.
yes.
Get a
Come on.
hold of this. That's biblical right there. Instead, they are taught how to dribble basketballs, throw footballs, and work for white people. Look, girl, I want to throw this book right now. Okay, come on, Lord, fix it, Jesus.
Dr. Boyce is a real one. And you know what? I couldn't have said it any better. That's thank you, Natasha. Look, she ain't gonna let us feel bad for talking. That's right. Talk that real. Thank you. He's right. He's
Yeah.
right.
100%. 100%. Because that's what it's about right there. Can you basically provide and sustain for yourself? And once you get those basics, then you can thrive and move on to self-actualization, right? Like the top of the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And we're meant to be excellent. I mean, y'all, if we came from people who created the pyramids with the limited technology that they had,
You know
this
what? The genius is inside of you. It's there. It's been there all along. You got to make it come to life for your kids. You
yeah,
got to make it come to
you got
life for them. You got to have them see that. And and honestly, if you struggle with it, because we've all been in places where we haven't felt the greatest, right? We walk into these rooms and sometimes these rooms don't look like us. And so we you know how we do, we gravitate towards each other. But that's okay. Gravitate towards each other and let the light shine brighter. It must continue to shine. It can never be dimmed. And so if you struggle in that space, I say continue to read, continue to educate yourself, right? Take courses that allow you to see that our history did not start with slavery. It didn't, right? Teach your kids that our history did not start with slavery, so we know how to move forward and how to educate them. They come from somewhere better than crops. They come from somewhere better than having to be on the Underground Railroad. You know, shout out to Harriet Tubman, but they come from better than that, and we got to let them know that. We have to let them know that.
That's right. That is right. 100%. That's our responsibility to educate this next generation on the greatness that we come from.
Yes.
So, let's see. So Natasha said on that note, we're going to end here. Let me see where are we at. Okay.
Natasha said, if we as melanated women can birth out all life, that in itself makes us divine goddesses, and I own that ish. Okay.
Come on, babe. I know that, baby. I know that. That's what my people would say because they from New Orleans. Okay.
I know that, baby.
Mm-hmm. Well, on that note, to all of my divine goddesses, thank you so much for joining us. Thank you, Chelsey, for your
Thank you.
words of wisdom, for being on. And this, I like this having people on the stage. This is like really exciting to me.
I love it. Thank you so much for having me. I love interacting with the audience, and you are brilliant, Mia. Thank you so much for everything that you do, giving back to us as the Divine Dozen and within the community.
My pleasure. Well, thank you again, Chelsey. Thank y'all all for coming every week. We love you. If you want to read next week, hit me up. Y'all all know my number. I'll have you on backstage. And with that, I wish you all a good night. See you in the book club. Bye, y'all.